Thank you, Hazel. And I would like to be able to screen share as well, please. The reason why I'm at this peculiar angle will become apparent. So I'm going to be reading from my ebook, Leela in Lockdown, which I wrote in April 2020 and was published as an ebook by Pamenar. Thank you to Hazel and everybody who made that happen and made that possible. I'm going to say a little bit about the project and then I will read from the book. So during the first wave of the coronavirus pandemic in April 2020, I was living in a community at Osho Leela in Dorset. Leela means play. It's the Sanskrit word referring to the divine play of the universe, creation in the process of creating, of being created, of being. I was at Leela in lockdown, and I was curious to explore what it meant to be under imposed constraint, how I felt about that. What were the possibilities for creative play, creative freedom within constraint? I chose a constraint-based poetic form, John Cage's mesostic, to give rules and restrictions to my creative practice. And I found ways to express my autonomy within that. I was exploring the dance between subjectivity and objectivity, which I've also explored at length in my thesis on Utopian Poetics. I used an online mesostic generator available from ModPo at UPenn. Cage gives a lengthy explanation of the detailed formal constraints of the mesostic before adding, then I take out the words I don't want. With respect to the source material, I am in a global situation. Words come first from here and then from there. The situation is not linear. It is as though I am in a forest hunting for ideas. If Cage allowed himself to take out any words he didn't want, I would also allow myself to add in any words I wanted. I would alter the lineation, capitalization, and visible traces of the spine word, giving myself the creative freedom to make the poem according to what felt most appropriate visibly, rhythmically, energetically, and intuitively, within the limited resources available to me, and instigated by the initial exercising constraint. I wrote, Cage allowed himself to take out any words he didn't want. Autonomy, subjectivity, creative interplay between subjective and objective. I will also allow myself to add in any words I want. Co-creativity, manifestation, abundance, limitless possibility, expansion, growth. With respect to the source material, I am in a global situation. My source materials were gathered from the internet, from emails, and from my own notes, from poetry readings, from conversations, and from whatever I could copy and paste during those early days of the pandemic. I asked myself the questions. What happens if I? What happens when I? To whom will I give the power to decide whether lockdown is a tool of liberation or oppression? I set out to practice co-creativity in lockdown, to find limitless possibility within limited form and with limited resources. And I took note of Lainey Brown's words. No one knows exactly what they are setting out to do, because poetry is a living transmission whose evolution is linked to other bodies in time. I linked my poetry to other bodies, other beings, other words, and others' words. Tonight's performance focuses on the creative play between enforced domesticity and strange intimacy during life in lockdown. estranged shock. At times like this, it's easy to use the adjective biblical to the up. Wanderer. Britain's economy signals gross, even though the virus had to take hold, the traveller unassuming. Hesitant bodies. Maintain organs with desire and greed, only smudged or rosy thrilled, the body intervenes. The contact is or no one, or something, or excess, isolation. I have never felt so. There echoes our pandemic, which has dissolved the urban. Organize your army. You feed your belly and you feed your sad, and it is fluid. There is a base of connection, a ritual. We chose our alignments, sat co-creating this image of water within earth, like well springs hidden, ready for herbalists across America, being trademarked by corporations. The very act of making is resistance and powerful, immune. Cut. The week's boost you for the brew. 4 weeks into more, you wait, you can, time, honey, always, that is, you feed belly, and not that consciously, but family members arrest of. Out of Utopia, more than people, everywhere they arrest local, almost fortune, enriching much support to each other. Fight and crack. Book is a geography where freedom relieves pressure and to find room for growing out of all symptoms upon me to feel. Scramble to room, to eat, work, get off. Why bother art? The groceries getting though. Work it. The knowledge of the stifled, the revive. Words work in book, in. Youthful folly, staying, feet apart when you experience control of the present, sporadic avoidances, the restlessness, the pain, this irrepressible sense of morass, fear and language, this virus. Myself in every possible, turned far inside till I beat living life solitary. There was almost no out. We have to live through lockdown for at least a protracted staying away from people, mostly coffees, shops, all activities that give life substance. Propriety, subordinate. Steps from embraces, a sudden turn to force, not necessarily of tranquility. Sojourn tangible in home, birthplace, very unfamiliar territory. The change one might find in a state of suspension. Gradual development, eating into other realms, provides illumination, gaining knowledge, and dream of apples grown in awareness. They are about to make continuum of control, the epidemic testing for people, infections, moment of action. And when we chose to leave this world and travel to the other world, eyes of control doubled down restrictions in such a way that it could fellowship, comradeship by organization. Yourself allow, yourself be seen and enough. The emphasis is in opening and often in process exposed what I for wisdom, courage and integrity, truthfulness left on the sinister Scorpio moon come from sensual potency of how much I can express my anger emotion is also how much I can express the upwards, the everything. hesitating penetration left me possibilities of resistance, creating new ways, like stepping out into thin air almost 2 months since people began to up restrictions, never seen statistics on world population economics reminds us too that just rich subjects matter and measure prevent being richest billionaires from billion to billion. That said, I constrict makes inventive. We must art the work, and our freedom is a fact. Being engulfed makes me alert while we establish control system, run it for separating family members, squeezed by tears like heavy rain, each other up, dies down, smaller in thee, and is how and will each time I get less feels like all past summers interrupt, crisis of I, rewriting in rereading. Allows the again and again during progress. Now making work groups of 4 gathered, collective, current body in current moment you are holding, continuum, unlike ever wondered. Gentleness and restraint. Question, place, and present direction. Lock down the world's chaos is financial. Cost of pounds tumbled, frisky matters. The well. Well is associated with unconscious like fear, inspiration. As government shuts human down, the recover is climate.
Thank you.